Hi, this is John DeVries from BlackRock Mining, and welcome to edition 2 of BKT TV. We hope that wherever you are, that you're safe and sound from COVID-19, and hopefully we can give you a bit of an update of what's going on in that project and why we're doing some of the things we are. When we did our pre-feasibility study, we looked very much at the geology, and that gave us the so what of Mahenge, and we found the geology was very, very unique. We had to turn that into the how, and that is where the engineering came in, and that's really what drove us into the definitive feasibility study. We're very fortunate in the DFS in that in Perth there was a pool of experienced graphite people in form of CPC engineering, and the CPC team was led by Daniel Pantanay. And Daniel has been a key man in the DFS as our study manager, and he's been a keen man with us ever since completing the DFS. So I'd like to introduce Daniel Pantanay from CPC Engineering, and maybe Daniel, you can give us a short background on who you are and all the things you've done in Africa and graphite.
Yeah, thank you for that, John. Yeah, CPC, we are a mid-tier engineering and company here based in West Perth. Our exposure to graphite started with the Balama graphite project in Mozambique. Apart from that project, we've actually done quite a few projects throughout Africa, but Balama was where we really cut our teeth on the graphite industry, which was the first graphite plant to be designed in Australia at that time.
Daniel, as we went through this study, for me, it was really a wake-up call in that we went down the line of doing a typical engineering study, and then we realised we didn't know a hell of a lot about graphite marketing, and we needed to take a step back and really start to focus on marketing. And for me, that was unique, and maybe you could give us a bit of an idea about what that meant to the study process and how that turned most of our engineering decisions on its head.
Yeah, well, when we started initially with the laboratory test work at SGS Lakefield, we were getting all these results coming in, and we were looking at them, and that's when we sort of started thinking, what is it we're actually trying to do here? What are we actually trying to produce? And at that point, we started bringing in the marketing guys actually into our weekly planning sessions, and just getting live feedback from them on what it is they actually wanted to produce, what they required, what they wanted to sell from a marketing perspective, and what we actually needed to produce. And we were tailoring our test work to actually suit what it is the marketing guys actually wanted to sell.
And to me, you know, like where we started saying, oh, we now understand that we need to be producing a specified product that's got, you know, not just copper or gold in a concentrate, but actually a product that has unique properties and specifications. That was a real step out, and it meant a hell of a lot to us in terms of our capacity in ramp-up strategy. Maybe you can tell us a bit about how that impacted both the concept around the plant and around the ramp-up strategy.
Yes, so I mean, in terms of the plant, the product we were going to produce, it became apparent very quickly that the product we produced, it had to be on spec. It had to meet the customer requirements. It wasn't a case of just producing a graphite concentrate, seeing what it was, and then selling it into the market. It had to meet very particular requirements. And so we had to make sure that the plant we designed was able to produce that product very quickly, almost immediately, because if it didn't, it was waste, basically. As we delved deeper down into the marketing side of things, we found it was very important that we had this consistent product produced. In order to give the operations guys the best chance to do that, we introduced a high level of automation into the plant so that they could keep track of everything that's going on and make sure that the product that came out at the end was consistent and on spec all the time.
So Daniel, one of the really critical things I picked up out of the marketing work in the DFS was the absolute need to hit specification on day one, and that is there isn't a ramp up on a graphite plant or a gold plant or a base metal plant. We ramp up. In a graphite plant, you're either making product you can sell or you're making waste. How did that impact in sort of the design layout and the overall strategy around the engineering controls for the plant, indeed the whole business?
Well, firstly, we want to make sure we produce spec. So we introduced a high level of monitoring throughout the entire plant. And that monitoring goes all the way from the product that's produced all the way back to the actually back to the pit. We want to know where that product came from in the pit, so we can trace that all the way through the ROM and all the way through the plant. But also, we know that there might be occasions where there might be some product that comes out that is off spec. We can't ship that product, so we actually introduced several points into the process where we could reintroduce that off spec material back into the process so that we could then bring it back on within specification.
That's great. As we did the test work and we listened to what marketing was telling us, where did that lead us in terms of the product mix? Because, you know, is it 95%, is it 98%, is it 99%, and the size fractions? How do we go about gaining confidence about we know what we can produce and therefore we can sell it?
Yeah. Well, when we were doing our pilot plant work and our test work, we found that by switching on and switching off different stages of cleaning, we were able to produce different products. So with Mahenge, after only 2 stages of cleaning, we were able to produce a 95% TGC product. With another stage, we got to 97.5. We then found that by adding 2 more stages, we could even get to 99% TGC on conventional flotation, which at the time was something that hadn't been achieved before.
Daniel, when we ran the pilot plant where we put 90 tonnes through it, for me, that's one of the biggest pilot plants I've ever had to do on a project, and it's extraordinarily sized for what is effectively a 1 million tonne a year mill. And again, it was one of the firsts, one of those many firsts that we've done on the project. In terms of your experience and what went on in that pilot plant, where does it sit out in terms of being unique and the approach that was taken in managing that process?
No, a 90-tonne pilot plant is certainly a large pilot plant to be done, and something that is one of the largest that we have done, or not the largest that we have done. When we're running that pilot plant, it gave us an opportunity not just to verify the flow sheet that was prepared based on lab test work, but also to have a bit of a play with it as well and see what we can get out of it. You know, we put it through the plant, and we were producing products with feedback from marketing. But when we were able to produce that 99% product on a large scale plant, that was something that was quite exciting for us.
One of the things we've had to do here that is a little different is that we've developed engineering alliances, and that is we've developed a equipment procurement supply alliance with Yantai Jinyuan for supply of the plant. And Yantai are great. They've built 4 graphite plants in the last 10 years, so it gives them a fair bit of scar tissue that we want to resource to. But also we've pulled on China 7th Railway Group in Tanzania. In terms of project execution and sort of risk mitigation that those guys give us, where does that stack up in your experience, and how does that work from a project execution perspective compared to what you've had to do previously?
Well, both those companies bring to the project 2 distinct skill sets that add a lot of value. Yantai, as you say, they've done a lot of graphite plants within China, and they have a lot of technical experience. China 7, being a company that is established in Tanzania and quite a large construction company within Tanzania, they bring all the construction smarts to the project. Having those 2 working together means that we can deliver this in Tanzania with a lot of confidence. Having Yantai perform a pilot plant in China and verify the outcomes of the DFS means they're able to carry that all through to the project implementation. When we come to actually implement this project, they have verified the work that was done, and they're able to carry that through to execution.
Yeah, China 7 having a very strong construction capability in Tanzania, and the fact that the whole planet's in lockdown at the moment. How handy is it to have skilled and well-versed engineering contractor ready to roll in Tanzania at the moment?
Having China 7 established in Tanzania basically means that they can hit the ground running and we can get commencing on early works in a very short time frame.
Daniel, thanks for coming on BKT TV and giving us those engineering insights. And for all our viewers out there, hope you've picked up a few insights, and we look forward to coming out with the next version in the not too distant future. Thank you.